Carrie, we're up and operating here.
Yep.
We've got our deputy clerk with us this evening, Carrie Sinning, and she'll be with us in both meetings tonight. So thanks for doing that. And I don't know where Sharon is, but taking a little break before the heavy work of the election season comes before us. So let's call the meeting the order of the call to order the meeting of the City Council for its work session. This is the City of Edina City Council meeting, City Hall Community Room. It is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, 5:11 p.m. And I'm going to have Ms. Sinning call the roll, and then we will discuss going into closed session.
James is on the way, by the way.
Councilmember Agnew? Here. And Councilmember Risser?
Here.
Mayor Hovland?
Here.
And then absent currently are Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Pierce.
All right, so we have the right under Minnesota law, under Minnesota statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3B, to go into conversations with our attorneys on an attorney-client privilege basis. In this particular circumstance, we're going to see if one of the council members would move that we go into closed session to discuss the case that was filed against the city by a person named Kyle Robert Moore against the city of Edina, as I mentioned, and several others, I think, individually. And so for purposes of entering into those attorney-client privilege conversations, would someone from the council care to move that we close the meeting as allowed by Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3B?
So moved.
We got a motion and a second to move into closed session to discuss the Kyle Robert Moore versus City of Edina litigation. Any further discussion? Those in favor of moving into closed session say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Is there a motion to move back into open session?
So moved.
Second.
Member Agnew moves, member Pierce seconds. So we move back into open session. Any further discussion? All those in favor of moving back into open session say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We're back in open session at 5:48.
48, yeah.
We concluded our conversation with our attorneys regarding the Kyle Robert Moore versus City of Edina litigation that we were entitled to have under Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3B. Because of the nature of that conversation being an attorney-client privilege conversation, appropriate under that statute. So we are now back in open session for the rest of our work session meeting, which will be involving the Heritage Preservation Commission and the Arts and Culture Commission.
Okay, now please enter. Okay. Now you can enter. It was just really loud, so they're talking together, so you can enter. Yeah, I'll pull it up for you. You can I'll send it for you in front of you. Just if they have in the okay, there's specific questions. Okay. Yeah, you at least know what they go through. Maybe we can. How are you?
Anywhere fine.
Yeah. Oh, are we over? I think we're first, so you guys can sit at the table, right? Oh.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
We can
come on
switch.
up.
Yeah.
We can scoot chairs up too. There's
Yeah, we can scooch chairs. Sean, this one?
So this is just the link to what they have. If there's questions, like you can click on these, and this is like these are more up to date than my posts are more up to date than this because we update these. Sure. We update these
Oh, sure, yeah.
And have you had any conversations about landmarks?
Nope, nothing this year. So here's more. I didn't want these as proposed within the latest draft I have, but if you guys want them to follow along as well. You were doing that. They do. Brad, here's a copy for you.
Thank you.
Yep. You want me at the table?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, come on in.
I'll run this for you if you guys have questions.
My husband has one of those and he loves it.
Well, this is fun. Yeah. Packed.
Yeah, coming out
Yeah.
with a special announcement next week. And they're probably
It looks like Cheryl Lundquist is ready to go over here, but let's go around first and introduce ourselves so that we know the extent of the group here. And we'll go inner circle, then outer circle. So let's start with Scott.
I'm Scott Neal, I'm the city manager.
I'm Carrie Setting, I'm the deputy city clerk.
I'm Emily Dalrymple. I'm an assistant city planner and the liaison for the Heritage Preservation Commission.
Jane Longquist, I'm the chair of HBC, my 6th year on it.
I'm Sean Jarvinen. I am a commissioner.
Kate Agnew, council.
James Pierce, council.
Jim Hovland, council.
Carolyn Jackson, council.
Julie Risser, council.
Haley Brighter, commissioner.
Devin Nichols, HPC.
Katie Pope, commissioner.
Brad Olson, HPC.
Do you guys want to sit at the table?
Pull up a chair.
Okay. Also,
Tommy Everson, vice chair, HPC. David Yellington, IT.
Ari Letts, assistant city manager.
Laura Bolton, recreation supervisor and the liaison to the Arts and Culture Commission. Commissioner on the Arts and Culture Commission. Maxine Steinberg.
Alana Zavarin, Vice Chair, Arts and Culture Commission.
Jen Faith, Arts and Culture Commissioner.
Harry Vetter, Parks and Recreation Director.
Zoe Johnson, City Management Fellow.
All right, any introductions that you want to make further, Scott, or introduction on content? Want to go right to Cheryl Lundquist?
Yeah.
Emily? All right, Jane.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So just to update, it's been a busy but quite straightforward year. So as of next week's meeting, we will have reviewed 7 COAs and 1 amendment to a certificate of appropriateness. Those are all for the Country Club District. We have not had anyone approach us about a potential new heritage landmark this year. We've done outreach for that in years past in Morningside. Our preservation award, as you may remember from a recent council meeting, was to the House Novel website co-founders. We were really excited about that. And the way it dovetailed with our 4th initiative, which was the Century Homes Project. We're really excited that that launched this year. We had 4 applicants right away, and we've given them plaques. We had fun presenting them at our main meeting, Heritage Preservation Month. And we did a little this year in history for each of their homes, which was great. And since then, 4 more have been requested. So we'll be working on some additional outreach for the remainder of the years on our work plan. We've been busy with the final item, so we haven't done that yet, and that is outreach for our ordinance change and the country club plan of treatment. Our outreach, this work plan item, will roll into next year because we've been working so closely with staff and the process has been quite involved. So we're, as you may know, wrapping that up, and we'll be having some meetings in the coming month. So that's an overview, and I don't know if other commissioners, if there's questions, or I'm delighted that we've got such a full house of our commission here tonight.
Agreed. Can you talk a little bit about that proposed escrow fee, addition of an escrow fee on the plan of treatment?
Absolutely. I think one of the things we found, and we had conversations with council earlier, and we thank you for saying, look, I think it was Councilmember Pierce, if we're doing what we're saying we're doing, we need to have some teeth in it, we need to do it. And we just felt that in very extreme and rare cases, if, for example, someone removed a roof and left it open to the elements, we would be speaking with staff, neighbors would be speaking with staff, and it was a lot of just grind with little result. And so by following an escrow policy that is very similar to that used elsewhere throughout the city, similar fee schedule and so on, we're able to just have a little bit of teeth so that staff can say, fine, you're not going to weatherproof that roof, we'll go ahead and do it for you and deduct it from your escrow. So it's simply a leverage mechanism. I will be shocked if it'll be utilized much. The other element there, and you'll see the changes forthcoming, but there will be a certificate of appropriateness permit, another tool that staff proposed so that at the end of the project, they could check and say, hey, does this largely match what you proposed and what was approved? If so, your permit's done, your fee is returned. So again, just another tool. I don't think it'll be utilized much, but in a few cases, we were missing that mechanism. You may recall, we got into an awkward situation where there were some after-the-fact approvals for amendments, and that felt like a very backwards way to do things. So we're looking holistically at just improving the process, adding clarity, and having some mechanisms for enforcement that felt fair, but were rigid enough that staff could back up what, people are meant to do.
How does the fee get calculated?
There's two different fees, and we can talk more, we'll get much into more detail during the public hearing, so at your meeting on the 17th. But there's two separate fees, and those fees are based on the valuation of the project. So fees, or projects that are valued over $100,000 have one escrow fee, and then projects under $100,000 have another lesser amount of escrow fee.
Okay.
That escrow form also importantly asks the homeowner and the contractors to sign off on some of the explicit expectations that are in the ordinance. You're doing this, you understand if you need to make changes, please talk to staff. If it's modest, staff will approve it. If it's major, they may require it, simple things so that people are just very clear when they're writing that check on, here's how the process, here's how it works. So that hopefully we don't get muddled down.
Yep.
Other questions from council members? Thoughts?
You said the escrow is based on the work itself?
The value of the
The
improvement.
permit valuation.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And so what are you gonna propose to us in terms of dollar amounts over and under?
Exactly.
3,500 and 5,000, I believe.
It was 15 and 3. Let's
Okay.
double check. Sorry.
Sorry.
We'll be much more ready, and it's also in line with the values that are used citywide. I think it was 15,000 and 3,000 for the smaller one.
We'll put a plug in for our Better Together page because all the information is posted there now, so.
And the mailing just went to everyone in the country club district to alert people to this.
Yes, we sent out, the first public hearing was published in the paper last week for the planning commission public hearing. And then we sent out notices to all properties in the country club district and then property owners of landmark properties, individual landmark properties. And then we sent an email out to a list of contractors that have pulled permits in the last few years in the country club district. So that was a list of about 350 contractors. So we're hoping to get lots of feedback.
Yeah, $15,000 if it's over a $100,000 project, and $3,000 if it's underneath.
So, Ms. Mayor,
Yeah.
I have a question going back to the Century Homes. Sound like a great accomplishment. Thank you, guys. It sounds really fun. How can we see the homes and the presentations that you gave?
Yeah, there is a city website.
Okay.
And we hope at some point when the program is a little more filled in to add a mapping feature, but that would be expensive for staff right now, so we're waiting on that. We have yet to decide, are we gonna do walking tours and so on, but the website is live, and we'd be delighted to share that with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And one of the things we're thinking of is how, so it is now a staff project, but how can we as volunteers promote it? And those will be some things we'll look at for next year's work plan.
Terrific.
This is not within the work plan, but I noticed in driving on Arden the other day that it looked like that house that caused so much consternation was finally close to finished.
Seems to be getting there. It seems to be, yes. I'm sure the neighbors are delighted because I think this is year 4 of construction, so.
It seemed like it was maintaining the character of the neighborhood, at least when I drove by.
As a group, we decided and we made decisions I've received a few personal complaints from neighbors that brick doesn't match, but you know what? They're subjective decisions, and I agree. I think it'll be a beautiful property once it's done. It took up more staff time and volunteer time than it needed to, but agreed. I think it's nearly closed, which is lovely.
So are all of you enjoying your time on commission? Yeah, thanks for doing this work.
Yes.
It's really important work in our community.
Yeah, and we're excited to have a great new variety of people, especially when we're doing this new Century Home program, so that we can think about how we're promoting that, and we're happy to have 2 new residents of Country Club as well joining our commission, so that when we're doing some outreach to explain these new rule changes, if they go through or how they go through, so that we've got some good ambassadors in the neighborhood.
Excellent. Yeah, fun.
Well, I think it's the work of our residents like you on this. This is just one example of what I had. I was at a 60th birthday party last Friday night, and I think it was a young guy who lived in Country Club, and he said, "Now, Mayor, don't you think we're probably?" I thought, "Oh, where's this going?" He said, "Don't you think we're probably one of the top 10 cities in the country?" So he was feeling really good about where he lived, and. I thought, well, maybe the state, I thought he was going there. No, it was the country.
There you go.
Going right for
I
it.
like it. Great. Well, it has been a pleasure for me to get to know how the process works and seeing, this is sort of my passion project over the years, but I appreciate the time and wisdom you all put into it, so thank you.
Brad, are you the newest member? There were a couple
One of them, I think there were 2 this year.
Katie and
Oh,
Kaylee,
yeah,
yes,
three.
yes.
They came out at the same time.
Awesome.
Okay.
It's great.
Well, I'm glad you're all enjoying yourselves, and thanks for doing the good work.
Yes, thank you so much.
We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
Email now.
Yes.
You're chewing, right?
Because some pieces fly off of it. That's not a good sign.
No.
Oh.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Edina City Council. I'm the Vice Chair for the Arts and Culture Commission. On behalf of my fellow commissioners, I'd like to share updates from our 2024 work plan. I guess looking back, this has been an exciting year for the ACC, and we've had lots of opportunities for thoughtful engagement. In some areas, new areas of visibility as well. A quick refresh, the ACC strives to build a vibrant community through support of arts and culture, and advises all of you on artistic initiatives in Edina, including the Edina Arts Center. And I'm just going to walk through our 4 initiatives really quick. Initiative 1.1 is our Arts Center, and we've been a sounding board, more or less, assisting with community perspective on design and engagement. And I understand some of my fellow commissioners in 2024 participated in interviews and conversations about the future of the new Arts Center to help plan for programming and the operation for new facilities. Going into our second initiative, 1.1.2, the Arts Center Grant Program. This initiative has been designed to work with city staff to develop and implement year 1 of the Edina Art Program. And this has been spearheaded by Commissioner Faith, with the support and contributions from our fellow commissioners, Fram, Curtin, Bird, and Lee. And we've had a really impactful success in this space. And Commissioner Faith is going to give us a little update of what we've been doing.
Thank you, Alana, and hello, Mayor and council members. Thanks for taking time with us tonight. I would like to start by giving a huge thank you to the entire Arts and Culture Commission, and especially the initiative group, as Alana said, Commissioners Fram, Curtin, Bird, and Lee, for their hard work and commitment in getting this initiative off the ground, as well as their involvement in the selection process and mentoring the grant recipients. It's been a really fulfilling job. Also, a huge thank you to Liaison Fulton for managing the application process and executing the grant awards and all of the work that the city does in order to get the grants out the door and the program launched, and as well as answering and problem solving all of our many questions. So she's been phenomenal in this. I would say that our first year of the Edina Art Grant Program was a big success. We had 13 applications, and we were able to select 7 recipients within the $5,000 allotted to the program. We provided grant awards between $500 and $1,000 per recipient, which was based on their application request and then the dollars we had available. And the majority of the events have already taken place this spring and summer. A few comments, excuse me, I need water. I did want to make a few comments on the application and selection process. When I last spoke with you all, you probably recall we discussed the application and scoring process and how that might work, and we really appreciated your feedback. We incorporated that feedback and followed the process we'd outlined as a commission, where we used an application scoring sheet and a scoring scale, which were also, those documents were also included in the application itself, so very transparent to the applicants as how it was going to be scored. After that, after we received all applications, we scored each application based on artistic merit, community impact, feasibility, and the Edina Art Assessment. And an applicant could earn up to 40 points in total. And then finally, we as an initiative group applied a qualitative assessment in addition to their numerical score, resulting in a final selection. And that we were looking at really balancing out kind of time of year and artistic medium, things like that we were taking into consideration. And we were absolutely thrilled with the quality of the applications, and there were so many creative ideas. Wish we could have just picked them all. Of our 7 recipients, we had a diverse range of artistic mediums. Performing arts were represented with the student acts at 50th and France concert series. I don't know if any of you had a chance to go down there one of these Friday nights this summer, but there was a student act in between acts each Friday night. We had a Fiesta Latina performance at the Edina Library, and Coachella Celebration of Music, which was put on by Edina High School Orchestra at the Fick Auditorium. As far as interactive, cultural, and multidisciplinary arts, they were represented with the Edina Asian American Alliance Festival, which was at Roslyn Park in May. The hands-on printmaking and silk screening activity, which was in the Kids Zone at the Edina Art Fair, and a tea culture art ceremony, which is still in its initial planning stages. And finally, visual arts were represented through a very robust emerging artist program at the Edina Art Fair. Our grant recipients also represented a diverse perspective, ranging from students to emerging artists to cultural music and experiences. And then finally, we wanted to gather feedback, so we administered a post-event survey to all of the art grant recipients. And in that survey, we asked that they provide some information about their project costs, partially what the grant funded, but then costs beyond that as well. And then what their audience looked like, and numbers as well as makeup. And we also asked for feedback to use in future years as we hope to continue to develop the program. So from their responses, we paid for expenses such as art supplies, musician and personnel fees, production and audio costs, signage, and city permits. Those are some examples. And for example, each student performer received $50 for their performance at the 50th in France concert series. And so that's like often the first payment they've received as an artist for for performing. And from what I understand, it just was a real boost to them to be able to get a check for $50. The events reached well over 100,000 people through small, medium, and large venues, from the Edina Library all the way up to the Edina Art Fair and locations in between. And the feedback that was provided to us about the art grant program and the application process was overwhelmingly positive. We heard many comments about wanting the city to continue and even broaden art grant opportunities. And the recipients felt that the application process was straightforward and the support received by the city and the commission was accommodating and helpful. So that's the overview of Initiative 2. Would love any feedback you have, any questions you have about the program.
I loved seeing that it benefited emerging artists too, because that was my one concern. And so that was neat. And I really do appreciate the range of art that you were able to lift up. That was really exciting to see that.
That's great. Thank you.
I have to say the dancers and performers at the Asian American Festival just like raised the volume of joy at that event tremendously. So that I'm so happy that we were part of that. It was really exciting.
Yeah. One thing we're working through as a commission, if this does end up being an initiative for us for next year, is how to manage the recipients this year. You know, can they reapply? How does that work? We've talked about it as a commission. We've talked about it as an initiative group. Like I said, we'll come to some conclusions if it does end up on our plan. But if you have any feedback on that too, I would love to hear that now or at some point in the future.
Well, when you mentioned balancing factors at the end, I think it'd be fair to tell people that that was a balancing factor. So we're going to do it, geographically, time-wise, and whether you've done it before. I think that's fair. And then, so you don't have. It's always good to bring new people in. So.
Right, and also you want to be able to keep something going that's working well, as opposed to having it just end because the money isn't there too. And I agree with you completely. Yeah.
Just to underscore your point about the student musicians. So my daughter Olivia did a summer concert, I would say 4 or 5 years ago or something, like when it started or close to when we started doing it. And it might have been a different format then. But she graduated in June, and she still talks about performing out there. And this one story where there were 3 little girls that were there, and they wanted to come up and play the keyboard. And so she still talks about that. So I think it definitely makes a huge difference. I don't think she got paid. So
I think this is something that the art grant was created for them. Yeah.
And so I think getting an official check for whatever the amount is, I think you're right. I think it's a huge encouragement to young musicians. So yeah, I thought all this was really cool. The only question I had, and this is so kind of out of nowhere, but my wife asked me, we were on 50th, I think we were walking to Edina Creamery from Nuns and Barley's, and right out there in front, there's all this chalk art. She asked me, did the Arts Commission have anything to do with that? Because she thought, when they first did it, she was like, well, why would anybody ever do that? And now she loves it. So she goes out there and she just sits there or grabs something. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, we did not. Having said that, Rebecca Sorensen is the executive director of the 50th and France Association, and she was on the commission. So we'll take a little credit that way.
Yeah. I'm going to tell her, yes, they did.
It's simpler.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna have any kind of presence at the Fall of the Arts Festival?
Yeah, so that's part of our fourth initiative. That initiative strives to promote our engagement in the community up to 2 events a year. And so this year, we've done the 4th of July parade. We had commissioners there, and also we'll be in the Fall into the Arts. We'll be at a booth there this coming weekend. So, and we'll be showcasing some of the works that we've done this year and last year too. So we've got boards showcasing the electrical wraps that we did. That was part of last year. The grant initiatives, and there's one more that I'm forgetting.
Climate poetry, which was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so we'll have displays, and we'll be doing a scavenger hunt that we did last year, some of the artwork that's there, so that's part of our engagement in that space. And then to just go back to our third initiative, which is the review of public art opportunities for new city facilities and locations. This is in response to the continued efforts for public art on new city facilities and location. Conversations and engagement have been had and are ongoing with city staff regarding new public art projects tentatively planned for the community health building. As a group, we've talked about this initiative, anticipating it to roll over into our 2025 work plan as we anticipate continued engagement and opportunities for public art in spaces such as kind of TBD Grandview opportunities and things like that. So that's what we've been up to this year.
If you prepare any assets or collateral about the grant program for this weekend for the booth, I'd love to see some of it, of just some of the visual representation of all of the amazing projects that you walk through. We probably don't have pictures of everything, but it would be.
And actually, they'll have a video showing
Oh,
most of the
cool.
things that are happening, as well as some posters.
Love that. Yeah, we'll just see some of that.
In the public art side of things, it seems like we've just still got a lot of opportunity, potential opportunity in our community for families or foundations to sponsor public art and sculpture pieces. And it's something we haven't really done a lot of deep dive on, or not a very deep dive on, I guess is a better way to put it. Have you given that any thought at all before we switch over and talk a little bit about the potential relationship with the county and the Arts Center?
That isn't something that we've really talked about, I don't think, as a commission in that space. I think there's been broader conversations about defining public art for the city of Edina and kind of having a understanding of what that may look like and how we can kind of engage in that way has been more of the discussion that we've had as a commission.
What is the need for the public art that we have, the preservation need? Is there a lot that needs to be done, or is that a growing concern, taking care of the pieces that we already have?
I think that was a conversation that we had at like the last meeting or the meeting before, in terms of cataloging a lot of the public art that we have, and also kind of talking about the things that art that comes in and out in different locations. So that is part of a broader dialogue that we've had and started to have as we've been planning for 2025.
So I just have to say a plug for your student commissioner. Member Agnew and I met with her, and so much enthusiasm in one person. So I hope that you give her a lot of attention, because she was so excited to be on the Arts Commission, and I was just so proud to put her on there. So, you will anyways, but I just have to say, I thought she was so awesome. And
our students have been really, paramount, especially in our ACC initiative that we did with the art grant program, working with Lex, she was really fantastic, kind of bridging and making relationships, helping in that that space.
That's great.
It's so helpful to have that perspective.
Yeah.
And especially as we're going through applications, you know, applying the qualitative piece to it, or even just scoring to have the applicants, you know, being reviewed through that lens, I think is really important.
Perry, what have you been discussing with the Art and Culture Commission about the possibility of the partnership with the county?
Well, Laura's our liaison. She's had a lot of conversations as well with them. Most recently, there haven't been a lot of updates. So if you think about last year, one initiative group was purely assigned to work on this, and they did tours, research. They visited, I think it was up to 6 different art centers and locations, trying to find the best of the best to bring to that process. Hennepin County has recently completed what they're terminating their value engineering on the project, which means they went out and got cost estimates for what they had decided that they wanted to do, and decided we need to rethink what that looks like. They're hoping to hit design about halfway of their design this fall. The good news for us is that all the components that we wanted in an art center and had in the first go-round still remain. What'll change is maybe some of the common spaces, some of the exact sizes. So we'll look to that as they kind of finish with the design development. Other than that, it still has things like the gallery spaces, the pottery center, drawing rooms, natural light, classrooms. Laura's nodding, so I haven't got anything incorrect yet. Makerspace.
And the makerspace will be technology-based, so that we are addressing up-and-coming technology and AI in art development.
So right now we're kind of...
Say more about that.
What's coming in art. Making sure that we have space to grow with what the country is looking to do for art development. So the makerspace will be technology-based to teach people how to draw on iPads with a drawing pad, or how to use a laser cutter, or how to do 3D printing in art development, larger base printers, so that people can.
Technologies. I think that was one of the things that the commission would help us for. It's just not the traditional things looking forward. And then right now we're just trying to work with Hennepin County on what would some of those lease agreements and who takes care of what. That's kind of our goal for this summer.
So if they're at 50% design, what does?
They're
approaching 50% design. You know, so at 30% design, come for the fire station, came to the city council and said, this is where we're at. So what does our feedback to the county at these different landmarks look like? Is it written testimony? Is it personal testimony? Or is it just sort of a report that's given? How is our voice expressed in that?
Our goal is once they go public with the 50%, then we can provide you an update on what that looks like. If you recall, I was very concerned about which hat are we wearing at which time.
Yeah.
So I think for us, that 50% review for us will be what is included in the center, what does it look like, what are the components that we'll be able to use as a tenant in the property. And then you have to take that hat off, put the other hat on, and say, are you comfortable with how stormwater is being managed and the green space and the parking, et cetera, from the land use standpoint. So I believe you'll probably have that as a more formal mechanism from Hennepin County that they'll be coming in for you. I would imagine there are certain criteria that would require another review of things if they change substantially how that site is going to be laid out. But from us, once they are comfortable releasing where they're at, then we'd like to do an update on what our side of things would look like.
And do you provide feedback to the county as well when here's our 50% design, and you say, you forgot the outdoor kiln, you know, or anything like that?
I don't know what Laura's schedule is exactly, but I would say 2 meetings per month at a minimum.
Okay.
Once a week. Once a week they're meeting with Hennepin County.
Okay. So they're getting lots of
They're
feedback.
tied in very closely.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for doing that.
Are there things that you'd like to work on that we should authorize you to work on? Or think about
That's a great
authorizing you to work
question,
on?
Well, I would like to put a plug in for year 2 of the art grant program, and I'm curious to see where this can go, because I think it could really grow. So I see that as an opportunity.
I do too, and I think that's something that we've kind of talked about as a commission. It's been a fun pilot project, just to see where it would go and how the application process would move through, and it's been fun, like the commissioners on this initiative have been so diligent to get the feedback, and it's been so helpful to see how impactful this has been for the recipients of this award. So I think that's something that's kind of top of mind for all of us. How can we make this like maybe an evergreen thing or something like that? So.
And what was your budget on that for the pilot?
5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
So you're coming back with a proposed budget that's maybe that or a little bit more.
I think more. I mean, I think there's definitely capacity for more. There'd be interest for more, for sure. I was thrilled. I think we were all thrilled by what was created in a $5,000 budget.
And how many grants you're able to provide, and kind of the outcome of everything, and just how everybody used it. I think one of the artists came to our meeting, public comment, and giving us feedback, and he had something really simple that I guess as a former art student, I understand. He's like, if I'm standing at the store and I can get a $2 stencil, or I make a stencil myself, the $2 stencil from the grant money, helped me buy something that I could use many, many times more, and it's more sturdy, and, I can use it for other projects. So it's like something that's so tangible, made such an impact for that artist, so.
And his work is continuing at the Fall Into the Arts Festival. He'll be at is it called the Kids Zone there?
What would you change then in the program as you see it? Is it just more investment, or how does it evolve?
I mean, I have a whole list of learnings that we will revisit at some point. I see an opportunity to fine-tune kind of the post-event survey to. I'm very quantitative, so I would like to be able to really measure impact in a more meaningful way. I think that would be important. I think, we had recipients who asked for $500, and that's what they got, and that's what they used. We had recipients that got $1,000 and they spent $50,000, or that's probably maybe not quite that much, but they spent a lot more. So I think there's also an opportunity potentially to provide more per recipient. Yeah.
But you wouldn't necessarily increase the number of recipients, or maybe?
I think it depends. I think it depends probably over the course of time, the type of applicants we have. Are they really small people, not small people, smaller ideas that a $500 grant can, cover the cost of, or are they bigger entities or groups that could really benefit from larger? So I think over time, we would probably have more information on where it could head, and I think testing into that would, maybe it's, 2 grants, I'll make it up, are available for $5,000, and 5 grants are available for $1,000, or something like that. So I think testing into it would be important.
Well, we always love hearing from all of you and the things that you're doing. to enhance our community. It's great.
We have a lot of fun.
We do.
That's important.
Yeah.
Hear that? Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you so much.
thank you. That completes our agenda for this evening. And we'll have a little bit of time to report. Yeah, thanks, see you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you, Alana. Before we start the main meeting, so we'll stand adjourned.